A big bluefin tuna coming to gaff on board the Fortune on a Friedman Adventures trip.
That's a nice fish. Wow. Woo! Yeah! Hey. Good job.
Friedman Adventures!
Woo! Good job. All right.
Yeah!
How is that?
I don't know what people complain about. It isn't that bad.
Aren't you going to share it with the captain?
Oi.
Nice. Get up there, Sap. Beautiful. Nice job, you guys. Nice. Woo! Nice flathead. That's a good fish, man. Nice going.
Hey, good morning, my friends, and welcome to beautiful Surfside, California. Man, it is like a summer day here. It is already really hot. The surfers are taking advantage of some great surf, and man, there is some stuff going on in the fishing world that I need to catch you up on. Some areas are getting much slower, some areas are getting much better. It's all part of the mystery of the 2023 season. And of course, I'll let you know how our trip went yesterday on board the Fortune. No, not the Apollo, the Fortune. I'll tell you all about that. Also show you some video from our trip that as of now is unedited, but you'll get a sneak preview of how it went for us. And of course, I'll try to point you in the right direction for this gorgeous weekend here in Southern California. You know what time it is, my friends. It's time for the morning briefing. Good morning, my friends. Oh my God, is that good? Hey, thank you so much for joining us here on this lovely morning. Got a lot to talk to you about. Hit that like button. Share these videos if you are enjoying them. Please subscribe to the Friedman Adventures YouTube channel. And don't forget to tick that little bell. You'll be notified when there's new content. TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. We are all over that on a regular basis, almost every single day. You'll find us on our social media, which has had millions of views here in 2023 alone, not counting everything else, Apple Podcast and Spotify, and I owe that all to you. A milestone for us yesterday here at Friedman Adventures, 11,000 subscribers, and you know who I owe that to. I owe it to each and every one of you and your great support for the channel. I deeply appreciate all you do for us. And to celebrate, I was on board the Fortune. Barona Casino, the Oak Steakhouse, sent out an aged tomahawk steak. They know I'm on the carnivore diet, so they said, what better way to celebrate 11,000 subscribers? And Israel De La Cruz showed up with that steak. Sal on board the Fortune prepared it for me. And I got to tell you, when no one was looking, I was gnawing on the bone. I was watching some guys sitting there in the galley, and they were watching something on the TV for a second, looked around, and picked up the bone and started to gnaw on it. It was that good. I can't wait to go to Barona and thank them in person as well as visit the Oak Steakhouse again, because that was one gourmet meal. Sal, thanks for the preparation. Israel, thank you so much. Barona Casino, thank you so very much for thinking and helping us to celebrate 11,000 subscribers. I really appreciate that. All right, we do have a lot to get into. I know a lot of you thought we were going to be on the Apollo. So did we. But at 1:30 in the afternoon, due to a catastrophic engine problem, the Apollo had to go offline. And of course, all of our thoughts are with the great people and dear friends of mine from the Apollo, Jeff Jessup, Lori Mueller, their great crew. Man, they may not be running for quite some time. We'll let you know about that. But it's 1:30 in the afternoon, and all of a sudden, I don't have a boat for 20 souls who've taken time off work and everything else. And the Apollo crew, specifically Lori Mueller, she started working with me, and I got to give all the credit to Lori. Before long, we had the Fortune lined up within about 20 minutes of learning that the Apollo wasn't going to be able to go. So I'd sent out a message saying, guys, I'm going to be back in an hour or two with some more update, but as of right now, we don't have a boat. So within 20 minutes, we had another boat, the Fortune, with Rick Russell. Rick's a great guy, and of course, their great crew, Sal and the galley, Carlos on deck, and Ryan, two Ryans, great guys. They were all ready to rock and roll, and we were so very thankful to them and the Apollo crew. So we got a new ride. I'll go into what happened on that, but that's the backstory on all of that. It was kind of a crazy time. And what a great group of anglers. I took them on an emotional roller coaster from, sorry guys, no trip anymore, to, hey, we got a boat. They were great. All of you guys who showed up, and gals, Jesse, you too, getting me all those Instagram and YouTube and TikTok views. Good job on that Dorado. But all of you guys and gals who showed up for that trip, that was a magical time spent together with so many great people. If you look at our score yesterday, you'll go, okay, you're just looking at the number. I think we had 30 Dorado, a yellowfin, 7 bluefin. That's basically what our score was. You'll go, oh, not that great, not that great. But when you look inside, I mean, the feeling on the boat with all those guys that came out for this Friedman Adventures trip was so good. Everybody helping one another. We had some new guys who caught their very first fish. We had a gentleman who caught his first bluefin and his first Dorado. I mean, it goes on and on and on. The stories, the times, and if we can have a great time like that when fishing isn't all that great, then you know you're on the right track. So my hat's off to each and every one of you who showed up for that trip. All right, let me start you out on the other side of the border, talking about the Ensenada area. And it's still very hit and miss. Find the right kelp patty in the right water. You can come away with limits of Dorado. Most of the Dorado that are around are those, I want to call them 3 to 6 pound Dorado, smaller flatheads for sure. But you do get some nicer grade mahi in there also. So Ensenada, you can find the right kelp. You can get well. You can find some yellowfin tuna. The thing is, there's a lot of that just off color. Some of the worst looking water I've ever seen. You will see that, and it is tough, if not impossible, to get a bite in that kind of water. And I'm talking about the really, really off color. Some of the green water that doesn't look that good, we got bites in that water. But this chocolate stuff that just looks like, well, I don't even want to tell you what it looks like. It was awful, and it's hard to get a bite in that. And one other thing, while I'm talking about this and jumping over to San Diego now, one other thing is the bait at the bait receivers in San Diego, sometimes during El Nino years, isn't the best, and that was certainly the case for a lot of guys down there. But then you put it through a torture session, and on your way out, you're dragging it through water temperature changes, and you're dragging it through some of that dirty water. The reason I'm telling you this is not to tell you that you can't get a bite on that bait. You certainly can. But, man, you are really going to have, I say it all the time, take your time, choose a good hot bait. You are really going to have to do it. One of the guys on board, Ken, who is having great success, was saying it's about 1 bite for every 10 baits. Tossed a bait, didn't swim right, changed it. Tossed a bait, didn't swim right, changed it. He said it'd take about 10 to 1. He was doing quite well. So there you go. And also, with this kind of bait that is not all that strong, that is not going to look all that natural in the ocean's environment, you're going to have to drop it down to 20 pound, 25 pound. We've been talking about fluorocarbon. It's super important. www.optionusa.com. A number 4 size hook. You're going to have all that in play unless you get a really big hit. So let me talk about the area where we were and where many of the full day boats are fishing. We were working hard. Rick Russell was all over it. Fun guy to fish with. Great sense of humor. Capable fisherman. And he did everything he could to make that trip come together. It wasn't horrible. Let's not, say it was horrible, but we had these huge numbers that we'd been hearing about for quite some time. And I was counting my chickens before they hatch, and everybody, it was just a different day. I talked to my buddy Sean Hardigan over on the Mission Bell. I saw him when I got in, and he said, man, it changed out there. We only had 2 Dorado today, said Hardigan. Some guys did have some success, but there was a lot of guys that had mediocre or poor fishing in that, call it 30 to 60 mile range. Now, that could all change back to their biting nails this morning, but I would definitely be bringing some lighter stuff and some heavier stuff. And by heavy, I mean 25 to 40 pound in that zone. Should do you just right. No question about it. So very difficult. Now, as I said, the Pacifica, the outer limits, they were up there around 100 on the yellowfin tuna. And we could see them. They were right there. Had some really outstanding fishing. The San Diego full day boat had limits on the Dorado yesterday. But as I mentioned, Mission Bell and several other guys had a much more difficult day. The conditions rolled. The water got dirtier, and it just didn't look right in that area that have been providing some really consistent and good action. So the boys are off looking for better pastures, so to speak, and they'll find them because that San Diego fleet, my hat's off to those guys. The Fortune yesterday, we had so much fun, and they worked so hard. Really, really enjoyed it. So that's your situation there. Now, as we move you out to Cortez Bank, man, there is some conking going on there on those big yellowtail. I mean, really, really good. Dennis Monahan was on board with Tucker McCombs on the Endeavor out of Ventura Sport Fishing. Their bait was beautiful from Ventura, and they headed out there, and they had some outstanding fishing. 17 guys, 71 of those big Cortez Bank yellowtail. Not much on the bluefin. I think they had 9 bluefin, 7 bluefin, something like that, but the yellows were biting. Dennis said, Phil, I tried the yo-yo iron, couldn't get a bite, but surface iron, and better than that, the fly line bait works really, really well. So there you have it, my friends. That bite is on out there on Cortez. We're just not going to be able to throw that many boats on if it gets to be too many, but for right now, it's good. Sea Adventure 80, great trip for my friend Mike McDaniels and the Sea Adventure 80 out there out of H&M landing 100 plus of those big, fat Cortez Bank yellowtail. So that is the place to fish. They're biting the 25, 30, 40. In some cases, you're going to have to gauge the intensity of the bite while you're at the fish fluorocarbon. It will make all the difference in the world. But you do need to have some smaller hooks and lighter tackle. If you get into one of those real finicky bites on the bluefin or the yellowfin or the dorado, you're going to want to have that lighter line. Choose a good hot bait. It'll make all the difference in the world to you. Jack Sepulveda, who's really a great guy and a wonderful person. He was on a 2.5-day trip on board the Ocean Odyssey. Jack, nice bluefin tuna, 14 dorado to go along with it. Jack had some really outstanding fishing. Remember, limits up in the USA, 10 dorado per day. Over on the other side of the border in Mexico Lindo, it's going to be 2 dorado per person per day. So once again, we're in a state of flux right now. We're hoping that Tanner is going to continue to show some signs of life because yesterday there was a couple guys out that way that had over 50 bluefin tuna. We haven't seen that for a while. So Tanner seemingly coming back on. Did all that fish that slid off the bank? Is it sliding back on the bank? We'll find out as time goes by. Nighttime bluefin tuna fishing, an occasional hit for an occasional boat overall. Not all that great. So we're watching that for you. I would not, if I'm on a multi-day trip, 2-3 day trip, day and a half trip, I'd still be bringing my 300 to 400 gram knife jigs, Daiwa SKG jigs. Definitely want to have that. And while we're on the subject of jigs, you heard the surface iron was working out there on those Yellow's Tatty 45s I love. Also Daiwa Sakanas, 100 to 150 grams. You can toss those in on some yellowfin tuna and also bluefin tuna when they're up foaming. And sometimes you'll have great success with that. Now, right off the coast here, there is some really good signal on some outstanding big bluefin tuna. Like 5 miles off Newport, corroded with boats here this morning. I mean, come on, it's gorgeous out, and you got a chance of those fish. That fish is down right now, but we're watching that for you very, very closely. We'll continue to do that. Maybe we get away from this weekend and get a little bit of boat pressure off that. It'll bite. Even having said that, if I were a private boater and I was in the middle of that, I would be off to somewhere else. I'd be going, trying to find either a foamer or a kelp or something away from all that boat pressure. You don't want to be in the middle of all that. Go find somewhere else. Look for a bank, maybe the east end of Cats, 277 down that way. You might find something. You got to find good water, and if you can locate that around a high spot, not that it's absolutely necessary, but it certainly does not hurt your chances as a private boater. That is for sure. Taking a look up there in the Channel Islands, offshore, there's still some bluefin up there, but most of those guys, if they're on a multi-day trip, are headed to Cortez, as Tucker did, and pulled another rabbit out of the hat. Tucker just keeps doing that over and over and over again. Along the coast, some decent calico bass fishing, but also 20 yellowtail on the new Seaboard yesterday. They saw a lot of yellows. Is that half-day boat yellowtail ready to go in San Diego? Well, it was yesterday. Let's see if we can get some consistency, some calico bass. And if you need to fall back on rockers, that's good. Oceanside, Dana, all of those areas right now catching some bass when they focus on that. Also some decent rock fishing up here in the LA Orange County area. Boats from Long Beach, Newport Beach. I'm talking local boats now. They are doing pretty well on the rockfish. In fact, really, really well, getting a shot at that big bluefin almost every single day. And their bass bite still has not come back, but there's a little bit of calico bass, sand bass in that neck of the woods also. So hopefully that will continue. We push you up to the Santa Monica Bay, good rockfish, and up in the Channel Islands, really good rock fishing going on up there in that area. So that's good. Islands, nothing to write home about. Nobody's really focused on it. Everybody's offshore. So a few yellows at some of the islands. Catalina's got a few more yellowtail starting to show. Boats like the Pursuit are all over it. And you will have a chance at offshore stuff from time to time on any of those boats fishing the island. And once again, as we talked about here along our coast, once again, we are seeing some warming water temperatures, but there is some awfully dirty, some of the nastiest looking water I have ever seen. Studio 2 on board the Fortune. I should say studio number 2. I forget who named it that. It might have been JD, one of the passengers on board, because I went into the head on board the Fortune, put the seat down, took a seat, and did some voiceover for you yesterday. My new studio, the head on board the Fortune, man. I love it. Perfect place for me to do a nice report for you. Studio number 2, if you get the pun. All right, watching the surf fishing. Gorgeous day to be out. A lot of surfers, man. A lot of people out here having a really good time. But there's some good corvina fishing in the short water, and I mean short water. Right before, you see that wave breaking right there? I mean, right there is where you're going to cast now. You get it calming down. Those corvina are staging. They're coming in right behind that breaking wave to see what sand crabs got dredged up by the crashing wave. So there is some good fishing. Bait, you can fish that, mostly sand crabs, sandworms. And don't forget, you're a surf fishing headquartered, and that is Big Fish Bait and Tackle in Seal Beach, California. You can load up on your baits. All right, my friends, I am back from a great trip with some really great people. 11,000 subscribers. Oak Steakhouse, Barona Casino. Can't thank you enough for celebrating with us and providing me with that aged piece of delicious steak that I totally was, I couldn't see anything. I couldn't hear anybody. I was just focused on this beautiful piece of meat that I thoroughly enjoyed. I don't know if you go to Barona Casino and go to the Oak Steakhouse, you're going to enjoy it also. Thanks, everybody. Give us a like, share these videos, subscribe to the channel. It makes all the difference in the world. Tick that bell. You'll be notified. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We're there for you every single day. Thanks to everybody on the Apollo, the Fortune, and to the wonderful people who showed up for this latest Friedman Adventures trip. We'll have more in the future. And, of course, I hope to see you really, really soon.